You are listening to SheKings with Erica and Allie. This is a podcast for peasants who don't want to live shitty lives. Every week we share insights on how to stop living out of habit and start living out of inspiration. So let's do this. Happy snow day here in Colorado. We just been getting dumped on, man.
Well, you guys probably deserve it.
We totally do. It's been springtime for the last several weeks, and then it's like, yeah, let's go ahead and keep this what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, it's winter.
It's winter.
You're welcome. Directly.
Well, welcome to SheKings, everyone. And what is SheKings, Erica? Can you enlighten the people?
That's such a good question. Here at SheKings, every week we bring clarity to overused spiritual buzzwords and little known spiritual concepts so that you can live a life with more freedom and ease. And today on episode, was it 14, 15?
I think it's 14. Yeah.
So 14, season 2, we are going to look at a buzzword. So I really can't wait to get to that part. But in the meantime, in between time, what is happening in your world other than snow, Alice?
Yeah, that's it.
Done and done.
It's super cold. I had to cancel some classes yesterday because it was just pouring and the roads are crazy. So it's Friday it dumped, and then Saturday it was like 50 degrees, so it melts it, and then it freezes at night. So then you have a nice layer of ice, and then it dumped on Sunday.
Oh, that's not awesome.
Yeah, so then it's just, you think you're driving on snow, but you're really not. It's all ice. And so I was like, I'm not going to drive it anywhere in this. No, and then that's it. A lot of snow. Erin, my daughter, as some of you know, is expecting her 4th baby. And she's almost a week overdue. So we thought this weekend was it, man. We took the other babies. We had them from Friday, Saturday, half a Sunday with no baby. So when my daughter was like, hey, nothing's happening, you can drop the babies off, I was just like, grab your stuff, babies. Time to go back home. Like almost 3 days, I was all
I can imagine. She was like, nothing's happening. You just stood up.
Let's go.
Putting on coats, throwing shit in bags. Like, no words, even just let's go.
Oh my goodness. I don't know how she does it 24/7. So I'm all, no, I was young. So I think that's where my energy and stamina came from, was being a young mother. Now I just stare at them.
Youth is everything. Because how was I when I had Asha? 37 when I had her. So she is 2. This is my 40th year.
Yeah.
Many of you guys know we had IVF. So we actually have 2 eggs sitting, waiting
to come play with Asha.
And listen to me. Okay, mama ain't got it. I have got not a thing to give, period. So that's one of those things kind of like hanging out in the back of my mind, and I'm like, yeah.
After you have 2, you might as well just have 6, because it's the same. Like 1 is completely then 2, you're just like, and then after that you just keep adding, and then it doesn't even mean anything anymore.
Yeah, I don't believe that at all. That's number 1. Okay. Number 2, this is what I'm holding out for. Like, I have plenty of friends who have just waited many, many years, and 45, 46, 47, having babies. Lots of lawyers in lawyer land would be, they look up, they're 42, 43, and they're like, okay, I'm ready now. And I'm like, maybe in in a few years, I'm going to be like, let's break those eggs out.
Really?
Today?
I'm telling you, do it while you're young. And 37 is young.
well, but I'm 39, and this I said
39.
40, my 40th year.
Oh,
My 40th year. Yeah.
don't do it. I'm sorry, did I say that out loud?
Oh gosh.
Because I will be 47 next month, and I'm just like I couldn't. No, and
But
that's like,
none of the babies are 7, right? Like 7 is a new age. They're like self-sufficient by 7.
yeah.
I was thinking if I waited long enough, then like Asha could raise the second one.
Oh, they do
Like,
take care of each other. Yeah, just
yeah,
like
I'm like,
handle this.
I'm gonna hand this one off to Asha. She'll be young.
And it's pretty amazing because once there's more than one, the other ones learn so fast because they're watching, they're observing, they're saying, like Nasai, he'll get his own diaper and he'll just like lay down, change his diaper. I roll it up, you hand it to him, and he just goes, trash, Maji, like trash Nasai, and he'll run to the trash. I'm just like, he knows how to brush his own teeth. I'm just like, I mean, so this baby coming, she's gonna be so self-sufficient. We're just gonna be like, where is she? She's walking to school. Like on the way to school. She didn't have time to wait. You're like, that's fair. And she's one. One walking to daycare.
I got it. I don't need your help.
Yeah, I got it. I don't need it. What? Drive? Whatever. But anyhow, so that's what's happening. What's going on in your world?
What is going on in my world? You know, here's what I realize. I talk to my own coach every other week, and I can't recall dates. I always say nothing, right? Whenever I'm like listening back to these episodes, so I can like post them and like prepare them or whatever. Like, it's not that there's nothing going on. There's plenty of like amazing shit happening. But, now I'm here with you. And so what's going on is I'm recording this. And I'm like, that's all. I'm drinking some tea. And so my coach will be like, okay, so what are we working on? And I will be like 15 minutes. I like waste both of our lives while I try to like
You're one of those clients.
Because I'm like, in this moment, I'm awesome. So like, I don't know like what we would be discussing. And so I just want to just say to the beautiful humans who keep listening to us, thank you, number one. And number two, there's lots going on. I'm really interesting.
You are.
I'm really interesting and I have a great time, but
she's not going to share what she's saying.
I don't remember it. I don't know what's happening other than like I'm talking to Allie, which is always a great time as well. So I'm having a great time all the time. And moving on.
Wonderful.
What segment are we doing today, Allie?
We're doing The Universe Has Got Your Back. So if you have been listening to the other episodes, you know that Erica has been unplugging and just not doing anything as far as like just proactive stuff, like just disconnecting, just letting things kind of flow. I, on the other hand, am the go, 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 let's make things happen type of personality. And then when was it? Last week I reached out and it just hit me like, I'm done. I'm disconnecting. I don't want to do anything anymore. And the minute I did that, like things just started showing up. Like I just got this article that came out in 5280 and I'll post it today. This lady from Harper's Bazaar wants to do a session with me tomorrow for some exposure. And then people just keep reaching out for me, for my sessions, for the studio, and I'm not doing anything. And so, yeah, that's just the universe's way of just, yeah, I got you. So stop doing, enjoy your year, your next 17 years of just sitting and letting things flow. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Why are you saying 17 years? I don't know if everybody knows.
So my Jyotish chart. So my coach, she's big on, she does Dharma and Jyotish chart, which just is a different type of astrology. And so in the last 21 years, it's been go, 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 go. That's been the energy. Mulan Shata, something like that, has been ruling my main house. And that's just go, 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 go. Very active, very like creative, all of these things. And then it's shifted in December where Saturn and Jupiter were doing like a little dance. And then Saturn, I believe, was in my 5th house. And Saturn's like very, like, it doesn't handle go, go, go. It's very like enough.
Mhm.
And I fought it for December. I could totally feel it shifting like crazy, especially January, man. That was like, and things just like, just slowed down. And I was like trying to push it along. Like the train stopped, but I'm just like, oh no, like I'll fucking push the train. Like
Yeah.
I don't need coal, don't need an engine, I'll do it. And it was just like,
On one of the episodes, you were like, "Oh, Mark and I have been like really trying to slow down," and you versus like, "No, go, 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 go." I'm like,
yeah,
"Come, Allie, Team
it's
Eric."
totally shifted, man. It shut off. And it took about a month and a half for me to embrace it, fully embrace it, where I'm just like, this is it. This is
Listen, I was watching. Well, Willem was watching like Family Guy or something like that,
it.
and I'm happy it makes you laugh. And something like ridiculous happened, and then all of a sudden it like cuts to this black woman, and she's like, "I told you, I already told you, I tried to tell you way back in a minute. What did I say? What did I say?" And I'm like, is that how we sound? Is that how we sound? Oh, okay. Family Guy. But the moral of the story is, I told you way back in the beginning, I told you, I said, you just need to chill and let it flow. And what did you do? Right. I'm going to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm going to do squats, and I'm going to lift, and I'm going to run this business.
And I did it.
Let goddess, okay? Let her come in and take control. Let her embody you, okay? Let her move your arms and legs. Be free, Allie, to do nothing. You don't have to do anything. It's already being done. It's amazing. Well, praise the Lord, girl. Welcome.
I'm excited. Yeah. Well, and it all lined up. It all lined up. It's time. So that's where I am. So if you don't hear from us for like months, that's why. Just kidding. We won't do that to you. We're both disconnected. We're about to like, no. Nothing to do. Okay.
Like, I feel like SheKings is one of those things. We just love doing it. And it's just like our time to like process and mirror and share. And so it's no sweat.
Exactly. Yeah. And time to connect. And I mean, I think doing this is for me to kind of remind myself of all the goodness.
Yeah.
All the lessons. So episode 14, today's episode is all about getting some boundaries and then drop them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, boundaries is a buzzword. And oh my gosh, everything is boundaries. I totally feel, this is what I feel like, that everybody is building like their mini walls.
Yeah.
The president wants to build like a big one. Everybody wants to build like little ones. I'm just like, oh, for fuck's sake. So why are people so fixated on boundaries, like boundaries?
I think, first of all, I think it just became a buzzword, right? And so people were like, oh, that's an awesome idea. It's like once it came out into, and this is what happens with a lot of these buzzwords, spiritual buzzwords, it kind of comes out into the collective, and then people are like, yes, I need that right there. Law of attraction, boundaries, and they just kind of take it and willy-nilly apply it. And I think that what happens is people were finding themselves outside of their integrity, outside of their peace of mind, and they looked around and they said, well, where does this come from? And they're like, okay, it's my out of control boss. It's my husband who doesn't help around the house. It is, this person, that person, this person. And then, like you said, they started building walls. Like, I need to protect myself because otherwise all these people are going to run wild and they're going to force me to do things that I don't want to do. And like, that's the first law. So I just think that like that wanting to protect yourself from doing things that you don't want to do was where it grew from. Yeah. Do you agree?
I do agree. I think people, we have like this need for conflict. It's just a need for conflict. So when you put up boundaries, I promise you, most people who live by boundaries, they're waiting and they're watching for someone to cross that boundary. And when they do, oh my gosh, like they cross that boundary. I'm just like, Well, yeah, because it's meant to be crossed. Like, why even have a boundary? Like,
But not only, and this is the thing, I actually, and so, the running joke with my clients is that I fire clients, because I do. And this is about a fired client. This story is about a fired client. So yeah, her whole thing was about, boundaries with someone that she was working with. And, it seemed to me that she wanted to discuss the violation of the boundary and not the upholding of it, or the readjusting of it, or the throwing away of it, and just learning how to say motherfucking no in the moment of it. like just, she just wanted to be mad about it. So, to your point, I'm just kind of like, are we putting up these boundaries because you actually want to, build a life you love and have the space to do that? Or are you putting up the boundary because you, I don't know, like conflict, like you said, like conflict, you need some shit to complain about later. And I told him that he needed to by X time, and consistently he's violating that time, and I just don't know what to do. Oh, Jesus Lord. Like,
okay, if you haven't caught on, we're not a big fan of boundaries, and we'll get into it. Like, we won't leave you like, why shouldn't I have boundaries? I will tell you exactly why boundaries are. Anyway.
When we talked about this, when we started setting this up, we said get some boundaries and then break them down. So why would we have boundaries? Like, what's the point? Why do we say that to begin with?
Well, because for me, it's not boundaries. It's me when I say, okay, know what your yes is, right? So when clients come to me and there's like, I need to build up some walls, some boundaries, I'm just like, oh, it's a defensive action, right? You're blocking, you're cutting out what the universe is trying to send you. So understand what your yes is, right? And so my yes is this, and whatever shows up, if it doesn't match your yes, then you come from a place of love. So, I mean, if you want to say, okay, that's a boundary, and then just, because the boundary is like defensive, you're protecting. And then when you break down the boundary, you always come from a place of love and understanding, because everything that shows up is for you. So it's like that quote that you sent me yesterday, that everything that you see it from love. And I'm totally gonna, I'm looking it up right now because it's so good. And I was thinking about that for this episode today. It's just good. It makes sense. And you can't practice this if you're defending yourself. So whatsoever is happening, you give your love to it.
Yeah,
How
man.
can you give your love to something when you're just like boundary, defensive, right? And so my boundary for me, so one of my boundaries for me is I do not allow panhandlers or homeless people to stand in front of the studio. And so that would be my yes, is to keep that space open so my students and clients don't feel harassed or jumped on, whatever, bombarded when they come to the studio. So of course, once I said that, I mean, obviously my place was the place for congregation. And so I know what my yes is, right? My yes was, ooh, this needs to stay clear. So then when I would approach these wonderful people, I'd just be like, hey, the building next door to mine is vacant. If you could scoot over and hang out there, I would so appreciate it, right? And it's not that I'm forcing it. It's, okay, so that gives me the opportunity to be compassionate, to be kind, to be patient. And so this one guy refused to leave. And so I just called 911.
Not 911.
911. Listen, blocking my building. I need someone to come and get him, because that was my yes. And I'm sticking with my yes. I want this space open. Go one door down, or there's so many other places to go. But it's not like I'm bitching about it or being mean or being angry. That is an opportunity for me to practice passion, compassion, patience. Yeah. So even though we set those up, the universe will always push them, because that's an opportunity, right? Yeah. So for me to know what my yes is versus boundaries, I think is huge. Like I'm saying yes to a lesson. I'm saying yes to practicing compassion and patience. I'm saying yes to an open space in my building. And so all right there in that instant, I had all of those opportunities. So I just know what my yes is.
Yeah, I think that when I think about boundaries, like I feel like when I first started this, sort of leaving the corporate environment and way of thinking and all of that, I was still working as a lawyer, and I feel like at that time I sort of needed boundaries, not as some sort of super solid thing, but I needed them because I needed to be awake to how I was being. And so thinking in terms of that's a no for me, right? Um, really helped me. And I can see how that could be, flipped around and said the same way that you said it, like that's a yes for me. And so from both sides, I think that I got to a point where a yes was being able to see my friends and family when they came around instead of having them like sit in my office for like 3 hours before we went to dinner. Ridiculous. That was regular basis. A yes for me was, you know, getting home at a reasonable hour so I could actually wash my clothes, so it wasn't the middle of the night that I was running a washer and a dryer. A yes for me was, moving my body in a way that felt really good. And so that meant lunches at the gym, doing yoga and in the steam room and yada, yada, yada. But that also, I think in the way I was thinking then, the no's were, it's a hard no for me to be working late every day. It's a hard no for me to pick up the phone after 6 o'clock. If you don't call me before really 5, you probably ain't gonna reach me, because I get sick and fucking tired of people calling me at 6:30 talking about I need this tomorrow. Oh, bitch, if you needed that tomorrow, you should have called me last week. Okay, like that's how that works. And so for me, I think initially boundaries were just a way, because I was just giving it all away. Like I was always available. I was a yes person for things I wanted to be a no person for. I was a yes for a lot of stuff. And so I think that back then boundaries made a lot of sense to me. People were calling me with negative stories all the time. And like I was a hard no for that. I was a yes for joy, and I was a yes for positive energy. But then the dropping of the boundaries came where it was like, sometimes people just want to share with you, and it's not always happy and good. And so getting to that point where it was like, it set you up, it got you a little bit clear on the energy that's acceptable to you.
Yeah.
And now it's time to like take it case by case. It's time to be in the present moment and say, I'm just going to say no because you're coming to me with some negative ass story, but like checking in with myself and being like, I can handle that right now. I'm here for that. So what's going on? And not just the no, like, right off the bat.
Right.
But I'm sorry, I'm talking, but I want to take a second. I upheld my boundaries for the most part. And I think that that's an important point. So whether you're coming from Allie's place where you're talking about it's a yes, or you're coming from my place where you're talking about it's a no, however you do your boundaries or don't do your boundaries, the issue is like you have got to uphold them. Nobody else has got to abide by your boundaries. And that's one of the things that really throws me off when people talk about boundaries. He's not respecting my boundaries. You're not respecting your boundaries. Yeah. Did you let the person continue down the road that you said the person couldn't go, the road that you said they couldn't go down? And you let them continue?
Yeah.
Oh, that person was trying their luck. Okay. That person was rolling the dice, and looks like, okay, lucky number 7, because you let them do it. You let them do that. No one is ever you are always the one. If you got to have them, if they're ever violated, you violated them.
Absolutely. And that's where And then when you get into that cycle of focusing on the actual violation of the boundary, it's just a way to stay small, right? So your people, most people that I work with, they get uncomfortable, right? They put up these huge walls because it's something that they're protecting themselves from that makes them uncomfortable, right? I don't want to have this conversation. I've been avoiding this. I don't want this to come up because it triggers the situation that happened in my past. Well, all that is coming up for it to be healed, right? So I like it to, if you had a thorn in your arm, right? This huge, massive thorn from like a massive rose bush. I don't know.
You know,
like this big. It's
the
massive.
little massive rose bushes. Uh-huh.
And instead of taking it out, you build like a protection around it. Like you just keep on protecting it, right? So I don't want to go here because someone might bump my thorn. I don't want to do this because something might bump my thorn or agitate the thorn. And I feel that's what boundaries are like, right? So we have this hurt, we have this injury, this trauma, whatever you want to call it, that happened years ago, and you're protecting it. That has to come out and be healed. And so most of boundaries are put in place for protection of self, right? A way to live small. So what would happen if you took that thorn out, right? Oh my God, you would expand, you would be out, you would be waving your arms around, you maybe go dancing, right? That's an expansion of self. So what if you allowed that conversation to come up, that uncomfortable conversation, and you work through it and that healed you, then that expands you. So I feel that boundaries are just a way for people to stay small and not to look at something that they don't want to heal, right? They close themselves in. And that's just an excuse. Well, I put up a boundary, it's uncomfortable. It's like, yeah, if it's uncomfortable, then you know that it needs to be looked at. It needs to be revisited.
I love that. It brings to mind what the untethered soul, and him being like, so Michael A. Singer wrote that book. It will be in the notes. He said something like, you know, in terms like we have these implicit boundaries as well, of things like, oh, don't talk about that around your dad because you know how he gets, you know. And I was sharing with Allie that when Dylan and I were going through trying to conceive, there were certain people that I just didn't like to be around because I really felt like they thought I had this thorn and they couldn't talk about their children, their pregnancy, their this, their that. And I understand that, you know, we all go through our things where it's like, you know, it does hurt to hear like yet another person is pregnant when you're trying to conceive. Yet another person, like, you know, got the job that you were looking to have, yet another person. And it's like, when you want something, you look around and everybody's got it going on. For me though, I didn't like the fact that I felt like people were erecting boundaries for me and like trying to protect me in some way. I'm like, I'm good, you know, like just be normal. But we also have these sort of emotional boundaries where don't touch that issue, you know, don't press into my thorn. And yeah, I mean, like you said, whether it's a sort of more, I guess not tangible, that I'm not going to go to work, but something that is like a little bit more easily talked about, or it's something that really deeply troubles you.
Yeah.
Are you going to keep it there and protect it? Are you going to like build a shrine to the thing that it's hurting your heart?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And most boundaries are put in place for things that, yeah, we don't want to investigate. We don't want to heal. Let's just, and then we get angry about it,
Yeah.
right? We're just like, I can't believe that person brought it up. Or I can't believe that person did that. And it's like, no. And without going too far down the rabbit hole, we go back to quantum physics. Like everything that shows up in your world is to match your frequency. Everything, every word, every action that shows up is matching your frequency. So I love it when people get angry when something shows up in their world. Like, yeah, but it's matched. So why did you want it to show up? Why did you want that person to cross your boundaries? For those who are listening, I'm doing air quotes. Because you called it in, like you wanted it, whether you wanted to be angry, whether you wanted to be defensive, whether you wanted to be protective, you called it in. So that's why it is so pointless to have boundaries, is because everything that shows up is in response to you and what you're asking for. So it literally is so pointless. It's just pointless.
I want to go back to that quote, whatsoever is happening, you give your love to it. Because I had sort of a very physical boundary that I wasn't going to interact with a particular person, because every time I thought about it, I wanted to choke her. Like, for those of you who are listening, I was doing I got my hands around your throat. And I was I was sitting with that. I was thinking about, that's essentially like, it's another boundary. And I was thinking about like, whatsoever comes to you, give your love to it. And like, I went and literally yesterday, which is why I had it on hand to send to Allie. I went and literally yesterday went back to the situation where this person pissed me off, completely off. And I gave my love to the situation. And like, listen, coach, meditator, a believer in an ultimate truth, no mind, no person, this is all an illusion. I was still pissed. Like,
surprise.
Right? I was like, yeah, still choking people who are listening. But I went back and I was like, what if this person in this super frustrating situation literally came so that I could finally understand what it means? Whatsoever comes to you, you give your love to it. And like, I was literally like, I might have been in tears, but as I told you guys, I forget. I forget what's going on if it's not going on right now. But I was really deeply moved by that situation, because I mean, I tried everything with this person, like everything. The person like is not really like visually attractive, and so like that also, I'm just like, fuck you, and you make my eyes hurt. But like, she was beautiful when I gave my love to her and to that situation. And if I could do that with someone like that person, boy, oh boy.
Yeah, I love that. That is, and that's the work that needs to, that's the work that needs to be done. That's why boundaries, yeah, you can know what your yes is, but then drop them and deal with what shows up, not push against it, deal with it. Absolutely deal with it. So what is the alternative to boundaries? We covered that a little bit. For me, it's just knowing what your yes is. Like, yes, I'm going to honor myself. Yes, this feels good. And really start to know yourself, right? So recognize the ever-changing nature within yourself, within the world around you, because what is a yes for you in one moment, 3 weeks from now could totally change. So when we say I have a really strong boundary, know that that boundary is going to change, because if you are constantly working on yourself, all of that energy is going to change, and you're going to be more open. And that's a wonderful feeling to have, is when you start to notice, like, that's not bothering me that much, right? And it's like, ooh, I can invite that in. That feels good. And that's where the healing is. That's why knowing what feels good in your body and supports your healing. And I promise you, boundaries and pushing things away doesn't support any type of healing whatsoever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I want to just put a point on the idea that we are shifting so much, and that's just another reason why boundaries don't make sense.
Yeah.
Because what's a no today is a yes tomorrow, and what's a yes today is a no tomorrow.
Right.
And so just letting yourself be in the moment and say, does it feel good for me to have this conversation, to have this discussion? Because even, well, whatever, I won't go into that. And then I think the other alternative to boundaries is to, like I was saying with this person who really, really bothered me, come to it with love. Like, really, really sit in it. Let it be a meditation to see the situation that's been bothering you, see the person that's been bothering you, see the boundary that you've been set, and like have so much love for it, and really let yourself say, why do I have so much love for it? And like, with this woman, the love was because I didn't know, if it hadn't been so extreme, I might have never come to understand what it means to say whatsoever. That means all the things that come to you.
Yeah.
You approach it with love, right? It had to be that sort of extreme situation where I just couldn't get over. I couldn't let it go for me to really learn that it means all of it, all of it, the things that suck, the things that, all of it, you approach it with love.
And I know some people are going to be like, well, okay, so you've asked somebody to do something, and I'm going to be totally generic and like superficial, but I've asked my husband so many times to take out the trash, right? So many times. And that's my boundary. My story is I do everything, right? And I just asked him to do this one thing. And it's like, so who wants the trash to be taken out? Because it's obviously not him.
Well, that is the what Dylan and I have going on, what my husband and I have going on, is if it bothers you, you do it.
You do it. Oh my God, think of how freeing that is.
And it wasn't freeing at first. I just want to be clear. But yeah, if it bothers you, you do it. And so it just removed the need for us to set up these rules and boundaries of how we had to be to please the other person. It was like, is this a problem for you? You don't like that I leave my shoes lined up here, notwithstanding the fact that we have a perfectly fine closet here with a shoe rack for you. Oh, and you hang your coat on the back of the chair, notwithstanding the fact that as you enter the door, we have this fucking coat rack where you can hang your coat. But you know what? It does bother me. And so you know what I do? I go around and pick up shoes and pick up coats, and that's that. And yeah, I like to leave stuff in the kitchen sink, and that bothers him. And
right.
That doesn't do anything for me. So
not having all these boundaries and rules is giving you that permission to express yourself, right? I love a clean kitchen, so let me clean it, right? I love whatever. I love plants, and so I'm putting it on myself to make sure they're watered, that they're tended to. It's not, we don't take turns watering the plants. Like, it's my thing. So
it takes you out of victimhood. It takes you out.
Yes.
Letting yourself be in the moment and cutting this boundary shit takes you out of a place where somebody could actually victimize you. Like, how the fuck could they? I said fucking no. Yeah. I literally fucking told you no. Why are you still standing here asking for anything from me when I said no? And it's no drama, right? It's just, I said no. And so the issue that you have when people are constantly talking about their boundaries being violated is that is very much a place of people victimize me. People don't respect me. People treat me badly. When it's like, you have so much strength and you have so much power to create the life that you want in this moment. All you have to do is say no. All you have to do is find your yes. All you have to do is be in your power. You want a kitchen chair with no jacket on it? All you have to do, not go call your girlfriend. I just keep telling him that all he needs to do, what does it take? What does it take for you to take off your coat and just hang it? Like, am I asking too much? Right? And like, when you're saying it, it's like, of course you're not asking too much, girl. And like, that's why when my friends call me, I got to be like, so what, you want your friend who's gonna co-sign bullshit, or you want real talk? Because mom don't have time for it. I said, stop it today. Stop it right now.
So, I mean, I hope this clears up a whole bunch of stuff. And boundaries are just building a wall. They just are. And go back to why this is showing up in your world, right? It's for you to look at it. It's for you to show up differently. It's for you to say yes to you. It's an opportunity for you to be compassionate, understanding. So go ahead and understand what you do and what you don't want to do, and then step back and look at it and say, why am I showing up this way? Why am I pushing against this? What can I learn for absolutely loving this situation that shows up? So what is the homework, Miss Erica?
So I want folks to start to take a look at your boundaries that you've created. And see if you can find, see if you can explore whether or not that boundary is a yes to something, right? So I could very easily see as a lawyer that, yeah, I was saying no to staying late, but it was more of a yes to a life. It was a yes to friends, was a yes to family. That was more true than saying, I'm just going to say no to staying late. Of course, sometimes I stay late. Or, so is it a yes to something, this boundary you have, or is it a protection of the thorn? Are you trying to protect something, right? So, um, yeah, just explore the foundation of your boundaries, and if it's a yes, then it's not a boundary anymore.
Yeah.
That's expansion.
Yeah.
And if it's a protection of a thorn, then ask yourself if you're willing to explore that.
Yeah. And I want to give a quick example is, ooh, look at the sun. Do you see that?
Do you
Uh,
guys see how Allie's whole her soul just like lit up? It's like the sun touched her heart.
I'm so done being cold, man. This is a example real quick. So when I left the PD, so when I was a police officer, all my friends would call me, hey, I have a question, I have this, I have that, I have all this stuff going on. And I would cater, right? Absolutely, let me help you here. This is what you need to do, blah, blah, blah. Even when I wasn't on the clock. So when I quit, my yes was, I am focusing 100% on my energy work and yoga. So when my friends would call and just say, hey, I have a quick question, I'll be like, I would love to help you, but I don't, that's not my world anymore.
Yep.
If you want to call the PD, I can give you some names of people to reach out to, and I'm sure they could help you, right? So it's just that it's not that you have to push against it. And I'll be honest, like when I first quit, people would still call me, and I would have just like resentment, like they know I'm not a cop. Why do they keep calling me and asking me, right? And then I'm just like, know what your yes is, right?
Yep.
Just say this is my focus. And they're just like, yeah, I can't. Like that's not my wheelhouse anymore. I'm putting all my energy into something else. So yeah, call the PD. So understand the difference,
Yeah.
right? Yes.
Every situation. Yeah, I mean, I love how you put that because I can see how you could either be protecting a thorn,
Yeah.
right? In that situation of I'm doing a new thing, leave me alone. I said that I wasn't going to be answering these calls anymore. Why would you even think I want to take these calls anymore? Like I am not a police officer. I am this and did it. It could be protecting it very easily.
Yeah.
But for you, it was you got to the point where you could see like, what is my yes? My yes is this world that is just serving me so fully.
Yeah.
And so
Absolutely.
I'm going to be in that.
Yeah. So kind of use that if that resonates with you, and also Erica's example of her boundaries or her yeses for work, and just see what feels good. Because again, everything that shows up is for your benefit. It's not to piss you off. It's not for you to push against. It is 100% for your benefit. So, all right, Erica, where can the people find you?
ericadanielle.com. And you?
She just totally bypassed all social media. You can find me on all the things still. Allie Duncan Be Seen on Instagram and Allie Duncan Be Seen on Facebook until maybe you can't anymore. Who knows? And then, of course, I am AllieDuncan.com. You guys, please go to YouTube. Leave us some reviews, some stars, some verbiage so we can personalize our own channel. Share us with people. That would be wonderful. Our website is up. Yeah.
Yeah, website is up. We're going to start kicking out more articles. Right now, I can definitely send you to, there's one on mind-blowing sex with Tiffany from Body Love, New York, and you want to check that one out. That's a good one. So go check out the article. Everybody wants to have good sex. Or if you are a self-pleasurer, there are also that it still applies. So just however you get your rocks off, check out how to have mind-blowing sex with Tiffany from Body Love New York.
I love it. I love it. All right, you guys. So that is it for today, and we will be hopping back on next week. So I hope this helped. I hope this resonated. I hope this gives you some avenues to start healing, healing your shit. Basically, that's what I wanted to say. Just heal it. All right, we're out. Enjoy, listen, thrive, grow, people.